Annyeonghaseyo. Good morning, everybody. That was about all my Korean. My name is Dirk-Peter van Leeuwen, and you can call me DP. I'm actually Dutch, but I've been in Asia for almost 9 years. And I've been with Red Hat for almost 14 years. And I must say that those 14 years have been amazing years. But the last few years are even more amazing because we see so much change in this world and we see so many new things happening. And one of the things that really delights us in Red Hat is that this is all about the impact of the individual. And that's what the theme of this event is, and I'm going to talk more about it a little bit later. Before I start my presentation, I want to start off with a customer video that we brought to give you an impression of what customers are doing these days in terms of digital transformation and disruption.
We're living in a world of constant change. Change is the new normal, and the future will belong to the fast.
Macquarie Bank is a financial institution that is working in the Australian market. Our mission is just to be able to deliver retail, business banking and wealth products to every single customer in Australia.
Our business challenges were really that we're a digital-first organisation. We didn't want to compete just against regular banks. We wanted to compete against the last app that you used, Uber or Amazon or eBay. That meant we had to think differently. We had to use software and technologies and ways of working that weren't part of our regular DNA.
Red Hat OpenShift allows us to go faster to market. We have microservices, we have standard governance and deployment procedures and processes that enables us to reduce the friction in moving our solutions from development, test to production. We are also using Red Hat Cluster Storage Solution, Red Hat Cloud Forms, Red Hat JBoss middleware, and Red Hat Ansible. Today, we have the ability of moving our solutions and microservices on Red Hat OpenShift in a couple of seconds. That's the efficiency gains that we have had with implementing these platforms.
The impact is going to be massive on business banking, wealth management and the personal banking areas, thanks to Red Hat technologies.
So what you just saw was Macquarie Bank, and Macquarie Bank was a business bank that spun off a consumer banking environment. They have no branches. They only have an app that they use to communicate with their customers. The interesting part of what you heard them say is they do not necessarily compete with other banks. They compete with the last app that you used on your phone. That's a massive transformation. A bank sees themselves competing with the last app you used on your phone rather than the other banks in this world. It's a great example of how people start to think different and how the journey is changing. Macquarie Bank was also the 2017 Red Hat Summit Innovation Award winner. And we're very proud of their achievement and also very proud to share their success with you. Of course, all these journeys start in partnership with each other. But let me talk about where we are in the world of digital disruption. You may remember the times, because it's not even that long ago, that IT used to be a standalone department. It would be a cost center. And you would, as a consumer of IT, not have any influence on what you are using. The IT department would make the decisions for you. They would decide what was good for you, and you would be happily using it, or maybe not happily, but nobody really cared, right? So the lone genius that the IT department was is no longer the lone genius that they are right now. Now technology is broad and technology is deep. Basically, technology is part of everything you do, everywhere you are. And IT has become an important part of that. Not only that, every department in your organization belongs to some form of the IT infrastructure. Whether it's your corporate communications team, or whether it's your industrial design team, or any department that you may have in your organization, they make IT decisions. All of you in this room somehow make IT decisions. It starts with the apps you choose on your phone, and you bring these things to your office, and companies no longer have one IT department deciding what IT you're running. It are the individual people inside the company that decide what they need to be effective. So it's changing. It's changing a lot. It's also changing about who controls IT and who makes the decisions. Ultimately, the way we look at it is that IT has now become a part of your DNA. And your organization has IT waved into it at every single intersection. It's very important that we all understand that. It's important that we understand that ultimately it will be IT that defines your organization. And just like Macquarie Bank, we see many customers that come to the conclusion that they are no longer a bank, that they are somehow an IT company, and that they are now competing with other IT companies or other regular companies that have become an IT company in the same way that Macquarie Bank did. This is a very disruptive way of thinking, and it's a very new way of approaching what's happening in the world of IT. So how does this disruption come about? I always like to talk about the way that open source, and Red Hat in particular, have been at the basis of disruption. And this is because the methodology of developing software in an open source world is very disruptive in itself. Traditional companies would develop software and develop technology and very quickly patent that software so that nobody could copy it. They would protect the great idea and sell you a license to use it. What that in itself does is it stops innovation. It doesn't allow other people to learn from it. It doesn't allow other people to build on it. But in an open source world where everybody shares technology with each other, people see how something is built, people see how something is made. It inspires them, it creates new ideas, it accelerates innovation exponentially. This is what happened. This is what has been at the basis of the digital revolution, because technology was available for people to build upon, for people to contribute to. Because of that, we've seen exponential growth in new technologies. We've seen Linux being the first disruptor in the industry, and Red Hat being able to build a business model around it that actually addresses the potential concerns that people had with using open source and people had with using Linux by giving them everything they need. The entire ecosystem of using Linux is what we provide as Red Hat, and I'll come back to that later. And so from Linux, it moved into other technologies in open source, like middleware and ultimately cloud. Most, if not all, cloud providers are using open source technology to build their clouds. And many of them are very, very good Red Hat customers. So we've provided technology that enables cloud computing. This is obviously disruptive as well as great innovation. So the question is, are you being disrupted? Is your organization being disrupted? Are you aware of potential disruption in your organization? I spoke to one of my customers a couple of weeks ago. It's a company called Nets in Singapore. They're also a digital bank, and they provide digital payment cards, etc. Their CEO, Jeffrey Goh, he told me that he took his entire management team, and by the way, Nets is considered a big digital disruptor in the industry. He took his entire management team and brought them to an offsite, and they spent a week long discussing who could disrupt them. Them already being a disruptor, but who could disrupt them? And if they would be disrupted, how would they be disrupted? What new things and new ways of disruption would be possible to their business and their industry? And his team was very enthusiastic and happily working on it, and they came up with a whole list of things that could potentially disrupt their organization. And then he said, okay, let's implement these things, because we have to disrupt ourselves. If we do not disrupt ourselves, we will be disrupted soon. This is such a refreshing way of thinking, such an innovative way of thinking, that it made me think about many of my customers who are in this journey, and they're wondering, am I picking up the signals? Do I know where I am? Am I already being disrupted? Or am I a disruptor? And what should I do next? So it's hard to tell where you are and in what phase you are, but don't worry, you're not alone. One of the things that Gartner says about this is that the longer you wait, the harder it will be to catch up. Organizations that haven't modernized their application architecture and infrastructure to support digital business will fall further behind new entrants and fast-moving competitors. So that's an interesting statement. But the other important statement here is that most of the technology people that are successful and that are disrupting build their solutions in-house. In-house technology is a new thing that we see happening as well. Again, the earlier example, Macquarie Bank, they created all their applications in-house. They built them themselves. So, if you at this point feel that you're not ready and that this is overwhelming, then you're not alone. It's okay. Another study from Gartner showed that 91% of the 1,000 companies that they interviewed came to the conclusion that they have something to do in the digital disruption and in the digital innovation. But more than half of that, 59%, actually realized that their organizations are not ready for the digital disruption. So this means there is a lot of work to be done to address this. IT professionals have the biggest role to play in addressing this opportunity. So how does Red Hat see these opportunities, and what do the Red Hat customers say about it? So we also did a survey, and we checked with our customers what are their top challenges. The top 3 challenges that our customers see are developing a cloud strategy. 52% sees this as their top challenge. 42% sees building new apps quickly, the whole DevOps movement, as a very important new challenge. And 39% thinks about optimizing and modernizing their existing IT infrastructure. And you may wonder what happens, or what about security? Well, security was actually number 4. Security is still critical, but is now so much ingrained in what we do and how we address things. Especially in Red Hat, we have such a heavy focus on security that you can entrust this to the vendor. But these 3 things are the top of mind challenges for our customers at this time. And I hope you recognize some of those. So the question is, what can Red Hat do for you? Right now, you're aware of the challenges. You have competitors that are probably going after you, or you may be at the point where you think this is the right time to go after your competitors because they're not moving fast enough. And you need to find out how to go into this market and how to benefit from the opportunity that the digital disruption offers to you. So what to do next? Where is Red Hat for you? Let me start by explaining, for those of you who haven't seen Red Hat that often and who are maybe the first time here in this forum, let me give you a quick update on where Red Hat is and who we are. So, first of all, we're the world's leading provider of enterprise open source IT solutions. In a recent list, Red Hat came number 11 in the list of largest software companies in the world. And at the speed at which we grow, we will soon be in the top 10. We are close to 3 billion already, but we were the first $2 billion open source company. More than 90% of the Fortune 500 customers use Red Hat products and solutions. It says here we have 10,500 employees. It's already more than 11,000 employees. This is a slide from a month ago, so this is how fast we're growing. We're obviously an S&P 500 company. We got 85 offices in 35 countries. Proud to have 2 offices here in Korea as well. And this enables us to serve our customers to the best of our ability and to make sure that we take our customers on the journey of digital disruption with open source solutions. Another very important part of who Red Hat is, to understand better what we do and why we can help you, is to talk about the culture. Red Hat has a unique culture as a company. And it's a company culture that we inherited basically from the open source movement. In an open source world, it is all about collaboration, working together, not in isolation. It's really the impact of the individual. Everybody who has something to contribute should contribute, can contribute, and will be listened to. In our organization, we try to achieve the same. It doesn't matter where you are in the hierarchy. The best ideas normally don't come from the boss. And I know, I don't have that many ideas myself. But a lot of people in my organization have great ideas. And it's important to give them a platform to get those ideas out. In the open source world, we call it meritocracy. The best idea wins. For you as an organization to quickly and effectively respond to what's happening in the digital disruption, you need to have a similar way of allowing the smart people in your organization to shine, to let them come up with those ideas, create a platform for them to speak up and to share what they are thinking, because there is so much great intellectual knowledge amongst the people in your organizations. So creating that culture is an important part of the success of digital revolution. The process around creating new solutions is what we call agile, continuous, iterative. You must have heard the terms fail fast and fail often. If you make development of software very easy, like we do in containerization, making it very easy to create some small code, then you can also very quickly deploy it, and if there's something wrong, you can very quickly fix it. It's a very different way of developing, and it's much more iterative than what we've been used to in the past. Ultimately, it then comes down to the technology we use. Open source and hybrid. Hybrid is important because not everything is cloud. As a matter of fact, I don't believe everything will be cloud. But there is a lot of opportunity to have a hybrid world. Some stuff will be on-premise, some stuff will be in the cloud, and a lot of other applications will need to scale between the two. So having that flexibility, having ways of using your traditional software and maybe use it in different ways, but also having ways of very quickly developing new software is what this is all about. So how does this come together in an open source world, and why does Red Hat have a successful model for what is essentially free? It's a question that actually I get asked most of all. Whenever I tell somebody that we are an open source company, the first comment I get, oh, I thought open source is free, so how come you guys are already a more than $2 billion company? Well, let me explain it to you. There are more than 1 million projects in the open source community. And if you as an individual want to pick and choose which project is good for you and which project will exist for the lifetime of what you need the application to have, that's a very, very tricky thing to do. Within the communities, we have projects that create distributions of technology. So after you've seen the projects, the best projects, based on the meritocracy that I just explained, where the best idea wins, they get created into distributions. These are a number of examples of distributions, like Fedora is a Linux distribution that innovates extremely fast, that has a massive community around it, but it's not the enterprise-ready product. To make a distribution enterprise-ready, Red Hat does a lot of hardening, and we create a lot of value to it on many different levels. I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But ultimately, from those projects, we create products, and we brand them Red Hat. So there is Red Hat Enterprise Linux, there's virtualization, there's OpenStack, there's Atomic Host, there's storage, there's satellite for management. There's a host of cloud-based solutions that you can see. They are all open source. And this is the core of our success. We are 100% dedicated to open source. We will never deviate from that. Even if we acquire another company, we will make the intellectual property that we sometimes buy open source. And we give it back to the community to make sure there is 100% transparency about the fact that we are an open source company. So attached to what we then call a subscription, and the subscription is what people buy from us, are a number of important services. For example, training. For our customers to understand what they can do with our products, they need to have access to training and certification. There are more than 40 courses, and we have different ways of bringing those to our customers, including a learning subscription, which gives you access to all the courses in a subscription way, and you can just learn and teach yourself with help of, obviously, Red Hat instructors about our products. Another important part is our consulting capability. And I'll talk about that in the next few slides, what our consulting organization can do for our customers in terms of adopting open source technology. And then the most important thing, the first thing that you think about when you want to use open source is support. This is where our subscription really adds massive value. We have an award-winning customer portal. We got 24/7 customer support. Here in Korea, we even have on-site support. We have a lot of things that our customers need in order to be successful with the use of open source software. This creates the value to the subscription. And aside from that, all the certifications that enable you to run it on a variety of hardware, on basically every piece of hardware that's available in the market. And for you to run software on top of Red Hat products in a certified way so that you know you're always supported, these are core components of our subscription model. So now that you understand the portfolio, it's about understanding it's not about one product. It's actually about the journey. It's about the process of implementing and optimizing IT in an efficient way. It's about implementing the iterative process of DevOps in a productive way. It's about creating agility so that you can manage your infrastructure and your applications in a very flexible way, if and when you need it, in an automated way. And it's about speed. Getting this up and running fast, faster than your competitor, responding fast to what the market needs and what your competitors force you to do, ultimately responding to your customer requests. This iterates itself. It's about discovery, it's about design, and it's about deployment. This defines what we call DevOps. And it's a process we like to guide you through. The way for us to guide you through this process is ideally through what we call our Open Innovation Labs. Our Open Innovation Labs are in 4 places in the world. We just opened the 4th Open Innovation Lab in Singapore last month. And its mission is really to help our customers accelerate the delivery of their innovative ideas and create what we call infectious enthusiasm by bringing the people together who are part and parcel of creating this new technology. And it will surprise you that these are not necessarily just the IT people. These are people from across the organization, because everybody is now part of IT, as I just mentioned. So with this Open Innovation Lab, we basically create sort of like a cooking experience, if you will. I like this example because I like food. And as you can imagine, if you want to understand better how to create an ideal cooking experience, you need to experiment. You need to be able to very quickly understand what ingredients you can use, what kitchen you need, etc., etc. But moreover, you need access to experts. You need a team of people who are the experts in the area that you want to experiment. So these are the red hat people. In this example, they're actually wearing red jackets, not red hats. But it's interesting to understand that Red Hat has the expertise to come and help you and to take you on that journey. And then together with all the people that are important to that part of your organization, we will innovate. We will bring modern application development back into your team. So what our Open Innovation Lab is meant to do is taking the people that are important for the success of your digital transformation, take them out of their normal work-life balance and bring them preferably into a Red Hat office, and then take them through the Open Innovation Labs, working with the experts and getting the experience and the outcome of what they want to achieve with the products. Ultimately, this is not something you do just with Red Hat. There are so many other vendors. There are so many other products. This is a very dynamic world. And being an open source company, we understand this better than anybody else. So we work with partners from across the industry, with technology from across the industry, to make sure that the best solutions can be made. Selflessly, but in the interest of you as a customer. And by doing so, you can leave your competition behind. I gave this example at the beginning in the video. Macquarie Bank, they wanted to compete in a more efficient way. It's a remarkable story about efficiency, about speed and agility, and I encourage you to learn more about them. Another great example is GovTech in Singapore, one of those disruptors from the government, where they actually designed an application that they call the first responder. The first responder is about helping people who are in cardiac arrest, who have a problem. The highest death toll of people who get sick or ill are people who are getting into cardiac arrest. If something like this happens and you call 911, the app actually finds out where the location of the person is and who is in the neighborhood and who of those people actually are certified to give first aid. If you're a first aid person and you're near that person, you get a message. It says there's somebody with a cardiac arrest. You can get here this way fastest, and on the way they will tell you where the defibrillator is to help the person. They have saved hundreds of lives already with this app, just by creating ideas that people have very quickly in a very efficient way. The last example I want to give you is the Bombay Stock Exchange. They are also a Red Hat Innovation Award winner, but last year in 2016. They had a massive, massive latency improvement. They wanted to be the fastest stock exchange in the world, and for them, the only way to do that was to go through a transformation with Red Hat. They now moved from 10 to 400,000 orders, a million orders per day, and they have a total cost of ownership reduction of 90%. I'll share with you this video so you can hear it yourself.
I think the only measure of success is you are continuously innovating. Since 1995, we were working with more of a proprietary technologies. The challenge was we were more or less stuck to a technology. There we could not innovate, we could not break free. We are the first exchanges where we have gone totally open source. BSE is one of Asia's oldest stock exchange, and we are also amongst the top exchanges as far as the number of trades are concerned, number of orders that we process. The new trading system which we have built is totally on an open source stack. First of all, we have achieved the scale of speed. We have achieved the scale in number of transactions that we process, and we can run multiple markets within the same ecosystem. When I think of Red Hat, the first thing which came to my mind is trust and the support. We got both of them, so it's like continuous thing. The more support we got, the more trust. See, 2 years back, BSE was not at all there in the currency market segment. Now today we are almost 40% of the market. Sometimes we even go higher than 50% of the market share. So achieving market share of from 0 to 40, 50% is definitely a big milestone. If we had not changed the technology, we would have been extinct. If we had not changed, it was as simple as that.
It's a great example of a very successful implementation. So with that, I want to invite you to actively connect and communicate with Red Hat. Share with us your challenges. Let's make it into opportunities and use our expertise. Later on today, you will get to see what I think is one of the best demonstrations of how DevOps can be brought to life in the Destinasia demonstration that will be held on the table by a group of very smart people within the company that will sort of explain to you how you can benefit from what we have to offer to you. And obviously, please keep connecting to us, keep working with Red Hat. We are very excited about the opportunity. We're very excited about helping you and building new partnerships. Thank you very much.